this is Behind the Shot.
Hello there, my name is Ayan. Welcome to my channel. I am a content creator based in Nairobi, and in this series I wanted to explore photography because it is a recent new love of mine and we've not had the best relationship. Growing up, I'm the child you will never catch in front of a camera. Never, ever. If you go through our albums, I'm barely there. I've never liked photos, I've never liked taking them, being in them, especially like when I was in uni. I remember it was my worst unit. I didn't, I did not like it. But in my career, I mostly deal with video and editing, and I think they just marry. Every time you say I do video, somebody asks, oh, can you also take photos? I love photos. And I had the camera, so I decided I might as well try it as part of my craft. You know, in this streets, we gotta make that coin. But it wasn't something I really like gravitated towards until last year when I started just taking pictures for myself, and I fell in love with taking photos, particularly portrait photography. I love capturing people in a frame. I think it's just it's one of the best feelings. You'll never catch me taking a landscape ever. But after a while I noticed the thread stagnating. My photos were generally, you know, just good, like good for general exhibition. You can put it on your website, it will work, it's clean and clear. But I wanted to be more artistic. I wanted to try new things, so I decided to start this series where I'll be taking, you know, different pictures and documenting the process and trying new lighting techniques and new locations, just new things. Because other than wanting to explore this craft that I started loving, I also want to kind of have a style. I love when I go through someone's feed and you can clearly tell and know that this is their style. They have a defined style that is artistic and creative and different and uniquely them. And I also want that for myself, but I also know the only way for me to get that is for me to try many different types of photography and different scenarios. So that's what this whole series is going to be about. These are going to be clean, quick, dirty vlogs. We're not gonna die here with graphics. We're just gonna film it, come into the editing room and remove them and share the process. I'll see you when we make the photos for today. I'm drinking ice cold water and it's like 17 degrees in Nairobi right now, and also 7 a.m. I like to lie that it's that day, but no, it's 2 days later. It's actually Valentine's when I'm supposed to be posting these pictures, but here we are. I really wanted to record more of the setup at the actual studio, but there was someone there I didn't know, so I felt awkward. And also, I thought I knew what I was doing. I do not. I do not. I was winging it, and somehow we got photos. So the studio is at, I actually don't know its name. I'll link it down if I find it. But it was I got it from Rain of Tenza, who is a recent acquaintance. He's also a really, really good photographer. So that's how I got to that studio. It's about 1,500 an hour, I believe. So yeah, now let's just go into Lightroom so that I can show you now the process. So here we are in Lightroom. I put all the photos in here. Apparently I took 127. I keep telling myself to reduce it, but I don't. So I've already gone ahead and rated the ones that I like and the ones that I'm going to edit. I also sent Vikta all the photos for him to pick his favorite. He hasn't yet, so I'm now just going to edit the ones I like and the ones I want to post. Usually with portraits, I don't edit them in Lightroom. I just use it for selection and exporting. So now that they're all here, let me click on the one I want to edit today. So we're gonna go to edit in Photoshop because she's bae. First things first, I want to make sure that my background is pure white because it looks pure white, but I have a sneaking suspicion it's not. So first I'm going to create a solid color, make it perfectly white, and then copy the background layer to the top. And now I'm just gonna switch off everything and I'm just gonna paint out anything with a layer mask that I do not need. So I know that's pure white, but now the edges are probably the steel gray. So you're going to go to levels. Click Alt and move until you get that perfect line around him. There we go. So I know now even the edge is white. I'm gonna probably paint out some of the white that has entered his shirt and his highlights. Okay, now that I know the background is pure white, it's time to now retouch the skin. Stamp visible, and I'm going to use frequency separation. For the blur, I make sure that it's just right off, like it feels as if the camera was not focused. So around there, that's where I'll put the blur for the low frequency layer. See? So for male skin, I don't really do much. I just make sure I remove anything that could be distracting, and even out the skin tones. That's basically just it. I am not going to make you have to sit through all this. Let me just speed this up. So I'm done. This is the so this is the before, this is the after. As you can see, very minimal. I try to work far just right before I leave, because that tiny things usually miss when you're really close. But I'm happy with the skin. It's good enough, but there's not a lot of distracting nonsense. But still looks like your skin. Still looks pretty natural. So next is just eye whitening. As you can tell, I'm somebody who really likes using actions, because who has time to make all these layers every single time? Yeah, this one I got from Prince Mason, and I really like his tutorials, so it's a pretty good action. So I'm just going to put the whites of the eyes. I usually don't clean up my eyes, I just make them brighter. I like the veins and the brown lines. It feels natural to me, because usually sometimes when you clean up the eyes and you remove those little details, they start looking a bit off. And reduce this to 70. It makes it a bit more natural. There's another action that I usually use that helps with hair. I like hair to be dark and have some bit of texture. So especially with guys, I think it works really well with guys. So here it is. Move it. And then I'll just paint in the areas where you want it. It also works well for the eyes. It's usually not that much, or like for instance, because you can see the before and the after, you can see it's just much darker and richer, and I really like that. So now in this area here, there's a lot of shadow that I'm not a particular fan of. So I am going to lift it with enough. All I use is actions, to be honest. Once you do this for a while, doing all this every single time is just upsetting. So around this area, I'm just going to go in the brush. Around this area, I'm going to reduce the photo. It's a bit too dark. I'm not liking it. I want the face to be a bit more evenly lit. It's also very good at helping you remove the eyes. I'll use it for that though. But yeah, so you can see the difference. It's lifted a lot of those shadows while still keeping a lot of contrast in other areas. Next up is this rose. Now it's looking a bit banged up, but I don't really 100% feel like doing anything much. So we're just gonna make it red. This is basically all I'm going to do. The beauty of that is it's also helping his skin tone, because I was getting this kind of I don't know how to explain it, this washed out look with this setup. It really is not the best for skin tones, but that's why you have Photoshop. So increasing that saturation of the rose also helped him. So I actually don't need to do much with his skin tones other than saturation. I think this is pretty true to color. And yeah, now we're gonna sharpen it. Oh wait, highlights and contour. So I usually use the MUA retouch panel. I think there's another one for retouching, but I prefer this because it's how I think. I think like a makeup artist would. So instead of saying dodge and burn, I would highlight, contour, things like that. So I'm gonna add just a few highlights in each, and the hot areas. Very subtle. And now I'm also going to bronze. So anywhere I want to add more contrast without. This is very quick and dirty, like editing. Because to be honest, I need to post this. I can't be here for 3 days doing this. So because of that, this is very quick and dirty editing, which sometimes I also like doing, because when I look at a picture for too long, I can be there for hours just trying to perfect every little thing, and it's honestly usually not that worth it. So that's about it. I think I'm pretty happy with this picture of how it's come out. So now I'm gonna sharpen it for IG. I'm gonna use the sharpening action that I also got for another kit by Prince Mason as well. His essential pack, which is also really good for editors. If you find a tool that helps you, just use it, because I think there's this overthinking on like you have to do everything yourself. If someone has thought out something to help you, let that person help you. It speeds up the workflow, and at the end of the day, it's taking the photograph itself that is the most and skilled part, and how you would use these layers is not how everyone will use them. So yeah, I see people giving other guys like a lot of grief over like using actions and things like that. Like, you should be natural. Who said? Who said? There we go. So it has just slight sharpening, not too much, because the picture was pretty crisp anyway. And now I can save it. So for the rest of the photos, I'll use the same technique and pretty much the same thing. I don't change much. If it works, it works. I don't want to put too many bells and whistles. And I think the picture turned out pretty great. Okay, so the lighting setups for both photos. Let's start with the red background because it's the one I started with. I really like that red background. It was deeper than I'm used to. So on this edge, as you can see, there's a light here. So coming from this side was a strip box. So we put it right behind him over here. So it's right off the frame. So it's pretty close. I liked it because it gave this highlight. I've never actually used the strip box before, and I thought that really helped. And then now coming from the top, obviously, is this was the 600 Pro, AD600 Pro from Godox. This was the 600 BM. So now on top, it was the light with a softbox, a parabolic softbox, shooting down this now to fill the frame. I liked it because it gave a sort of like halo around. So there was the dark edge of the red and the halo because he was a bit far from the background. So that's this setup. For the white setup, this is actually an umbrella, a pretty big umbrella, which is right behind him. So I wanted to try this because, as you can see, usually I don't like white backgrounds because sometimes they don't give you a really crisp white unless you also light them up, and I wanted to use two lights. So if I was to also use the background, I'd have to use three, which I do not have access to. So I use a parabolic, an umbrella at the back. I would have preferred a softbox because you see now, like right behind him, you can't see it, but the light is there with like the umbrella stick. So I had to position myself to kind of make sure that I don't get it in frame. If it was just a softbox, it would have been pure white and I could have taken from any angle. And then now from here, you can even see there's like a highlight here. From here is now the same 600 Pro with the same parabolic softbox, and now is lighting the face. I liked it because you see you can get a really nice catch light. For this setup, you really need to be up close because the umbrella was not big. So for example, in this, you can see it's peeking out in this photo. It's picked out here, it's picked out here. You can see the edge away from it. So now I have to be clever in editing to make sure that this whole background disappears. So if it was much larger, it would have filled the frame and also been a bit brighter. I feel as if also because I was using an umbrella and the light was going into the umbrella and coming out, it was really, really soft. if you use the softbox, because the light would be now reflected on the side and come out straight, it would have been much brighter and sharper, because you see now the umbrella is meant to make it, it's mainly for beauty, so it's meant to make it nice and soft. But yeah, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and it worked in this instance. I got pretty good photos that I'm happy with. Now that I'm back in Lightroom, I'm going to try and crop it for export for Instagram, because this picture is for the gram. So now that it's cropped at 4:5, which is the best portrait for Instagram, I'm just going to export it. So I'm going to export it, and then I'm going to make sure that my short edge is at 1080. That's 240 pixels per inch. And then export. I'm also going to schedule it to post later, because I'm not going to sit here and lie to myself. I'll remember I have a pretty hectic day ahead of me. So I'm going to use Creator Studio to schedule it. It's what I use for myself, for other businesses where I run their IG. It's pretty simple to use. You can put multiple. It will schedule and publish for you with no hassle. No fuss. Yeah. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I'm really excited to continue doing this. I learned so much on this shoot that I didn't know, because usually I'm more of an outdoor, one light, one parabolic softbox kind of gal, but I had to use multiple lights, so I had to learn how to balance them to make sure that they all shine and do their work. So next time we're gonna try a different technique, and see you again. Bye bye.